Welcome to Gracefully Imperfect, a podcast for the all-encompassing Black man, the professional, the entrepreneur, the student, the family man, the father, and the everyday survivor. I am your host, Semantic 7. And on this journey together, we will discuss all things related to fatherhood and parenting, morality and ethics, striving to become mentally healthy, our role within our households and our family, health and fitness, and I dare not to forget, there will be a lot of sharing of our personal developmental stories that have shaped us to who we are today. So let's go on this journey together and center our consciousness, relax our mind, off we go to the depths below. Peace, love, and blessings in abundance. We are back again for another episode of Gracefully Imperfect. I am extremely grateful for all of you who are tuning in from your respective locations. I know that these episodes are coming out at an inconsistent rate, and I do apologize for that. So much is going on right now. Our son is almost here. My wife is, her body's breaking down on her. She's extremely tired. My kids, my two oldest, need me more than ever. And so my responsibilities to my home has taken me away from sharing and exchanging and being attentive to this podcast platform. So even though I do not apologize for not recording and uploading on a consistent level, I do apologize for not communicating more openly about what's going on and the context of my life that's preventing this attentiveness that I would like to have. But it will come to a point where I will be able to be more involved, to be more invested, and to be more consistent with this. In the meantime, I'll do the best that I can with what I have, with what I know, and with what I am able to do. So bear with me, y'all. I promise that we're going to take this podcast to the next level. We're going to expand it. We're going to extend it. We're going to touch souls. We're going to impact lives. We're going to create and share profound messaging. And so I just ask that please stick with me through the process. And for those who decide that they do not want to, I understand wholeheartedly. There are thousands upon thousands of podcasts out there that are uploading regularly, and they're not missing a beat. And I do understand the need of meaningful content. And if you cannot get that meaningful content on a regular basis, then you're still at ground zero in search of that. So I hope that this is your platform of choice. I hope that you follow this platform. I hope that you just understand and acknowledge and be a part of this process of being a novice podcast with the intentions on growing into something bigger and better that is unfathomable. I I would like to dedicate every seventh episode to Black Woman University. Black Woman University is so profound and illuminating. It highlights a Black woman who I have encountered, that I have spoken to directly. And from those conversations and that dialogue, I have ascertained some type of critical learning point that has changed the trajectory of my thinking, my behavior, and my conduct. Last time I did a Black Women's University was back in June, which was almost 4 months ago, and I did it, and uh, I acknowledged my learning from my sister-in-law, Mecca, and if you haven't listened to that podcast episode, I will really urge you to go back and really listen to it, because from that podcast, I learned a lot about changing my relationship with finances, understanding the power and manifestation, and using visualization and affirmations to hone in on what you want and who you are. And from that has changed my way of, first off, it has changed uh, my financial anxiety that I used to have. And even though there are still moments where it creeps into my life, I have found a more healthy, effective way of looking at finances rather than dreading the unknowns and the uncertainties. And I have began more to visualize in real time on where I want to go, what I want to do, and how I want to be perceived, rather than jotting it down in the book, saying these are my goals. In real time, I am dreaming. And I learned that from my sister-in-law. And there's some other things, some other hidden gems in there that I urge you to go and listen to at your own expense. This go around, I want to pay tribute to my interaction and my encounter with my cousin, my beautiful, loving, kind cousin. Her name is Niecey, y'all. And I want to just give a little background on her and our dynamic. So my cousin Niecey is 2 years older than me. Yeah, she has two beautiful kids. One is actually soon to be 13, and the other one is, I believe, 8. She's been a single mother since 2009. She was in the Air Force. I don't know her exact what we call in the Army MOS. I don't know what it was, but I do recall her spending a lot of time on aircraft. And sorry, cousin, for my inability to recall exactly what your job classification was. But she worked hard at it. She spent about a decade or so in the Air Force, in the Air Force Reserve. She went to college. I know she didn't graduate, but she did get the experience of being a collegiate student. She has two. She has multiple siblings, two of which that she lived with, that she grew up with, I should say, that she helped nurture and raise. And her and I, we have always been stuck like glue. We used to call each other twins because we have the same mole on the same side of our face. And we were younger. We used to always get comments and remarks that have of how much we favored each other. We've always been extremely close. We've always had this magnetic connection that no one or, or anything could penetrate. And that closeness and that connection um, grew with us. Even though we both have kids and we have our own careers and we have our own homes and we live in two separate areas of the United States, we still check in with one another. We still have heartfelt conversations. We still laugh with each other. Laughing is medicine, y'all. And her and I, that was our way of bonding, being comedic, joking, laughing. That was our way of cementing the connection. And here we are in 2022, and we are extremely inseparable. So we talk about, we talk. I would love for us to talk more, but I do understand her personal situation with her being a single mother and her having a full-time job working for the federal government. I understand how her life commitments and her responsibilities can interfere with relationship building and phone conversations, to say the least. But when we do talk, we never. It's like as if we've never had a lapse in direct connection. And so we talk about, I'm going to say we talk every 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. Sometimes on a good week, we may talk maybe twice in 1 week, but typically it's about every 2 weeks. And just recently, her and I, we had a very, very just deep, lighthearted conversation on a multiple of topics. And during that dialogue, she went into some deep reflections about motherhood, deep reflections about childhood upbringing and adverse childhood experiences, and the reflection and reflections on how to use life experiences, adversities, miscues, shortcomings, etc., to strengthen, enhance, and improve relationships with her children. Deep stuff. And I was honored and privileged for her to discuss this with me. And I wish that could have been a moment of capturing it for this platform because I believe that hearing it directly from her through her own lens and her own point of view is going to be extremely more impactful than me paraphrasing. But I'll try my best. From that conversation, y'all, though, I learned three things. Three important, impactful things. And that first thing is to continuously strive for self-perceived excellence. My cousin, she has some struggles in the Air Force with, especially after the birth of her second child, with weight and physical fitness, where she went from being, obviously passing the physical fitness test easily, or I should say without challenge, to, during her postpartum, not, trying to get back to where she used to be and not giving the space to recover from her superiors, which then forced her to take a premature physical fitness test, which she did not do good in, and which created this snowball effect of her command targeting her, thinking that her recovery is the same as everyone else's recovery, regardless of her personal medical situation. And so you think when someone who's been through something like that, that would keep them down, but she kept fighting, y'all. And even when she got out, she worked in contracting and eventually got a gig working as a GS-11 now, which I'm extremely proud of her. And here she is, a federal employee working for a government entity that supports embassy affairs, consular affairs, training for agents, etc. And she's flourishing and thriving. And so she's obviously she has reached a level of success, but I know that that's not the ceiling for her. And so, through her example, I have learned to not let the shortcomings or the injustices that are experienced to hinder your growth, your movement forward. The second thing that I've learned from her is to use our childhood experiences and our relationship and attitudes towards our parents to sculpt and shape how we will operate as parents. Let me say that a little bit clearer. She taught me how to use the childhood experiences and the relational dynamics with our parents and the attitudes and the observations of our parents to sculpt and shape how we operate as parents. One thing, she's a firm believer in taking the attributes and characteristics from the parents that are effective, and using that and tailoring it and amplifying it, and to make it your own. And then for the characteristics and attributes that did not serve you as a child, to take note of that, to acknowledge that, and then find other ways to be more effective in the relationship building with your child. I admire her for not really having the blueprint, or not be given the blueprint to be a effective, attentive, insightful single mother. But her growth and her maturity and her ability to analyze her childhood situation, her situation with her mother, her situation with her father, she was able to say, okay, I want this in my wheelhouse. I want to make sure that I am providing my kids with variety and choices. I want to listen to my kids. I want to let them know that they matter. I want to laugh with my kids. I want to have emotional conversations with my kids. These are all the things that she was synthesizing from all those different situations in her life. And she was able to create a product of a beautiful single mother. And the third lesson that I have received from my dear cousin is to know your worth. Know your worth. Believe your worth. And advocate for it. My cousin, like I said to you guys before, my cousin is a federal employee. And she became a federal employee because she knew that she had what it takes to provide a service and to provide a level of competence in her field. When she was a contractor, and there was some disgruntledness and some resistance that she experienced trying to cross over, that didn't beat her down. That didn't keep her down, because she knew that she should be on that other side, and she knew that she deserved that opportunity to support the federal government with job security and stability. And by her knowing her worth, she never settled for less. And even though that she may have to sacrifice in order to get where she is now, she still kept in mind that what she brings to the table, her internal resources, her characteristics, her character, her sharpness, her work ethic, all of that is a highly sought out asset. And I also don't want to air her business. There's other ways that she has kind of taught me about knowing your worth in her personal relationships, but I don't feel comfortable bringing that up without her consent. But she's also taught me about how to not let people take advantage of you. And if you do feel used and abused, that you have to know when to, cut sling load, to move on, to be selfless in your love for yourself, to have selfless love, and to put the needs of your emotional needs and your psychological needs, your developmental and spiritual needs before someone who is overlooking, inconsiderate, and is not treating you with dignity, love, and respect. So thank you, cousin, for that. I truly, talking to her is always a breath of fresh air. She is so enlightening. Outside our comedic sessions, she's so easy to talk to. And I really am honored that she has shared so much with me over this last year. I want to leave you all with the quote of the day. And I only thought it was befitting by choosing someone to quote that has showed a level of selfless service, high level of motivation and determination, and also who has a resilient spirit, like my cousin. And the quote of the day is, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. Shirley Chisholm. Hey, I just want everyone who's listening to this to know this. We're going to get back on regular recording twice a week. My baby is due soon, so I ask for a little grace and patience. I'm trying to get back on social. Social is so stressful. I'm not good at it. It's not in my nature to post and create stories. But I also understand that is an important aspect of building community, and I'm trying to get better. So, and I may need someone to help me with that. But until then, we're going to do our very best with what we have and what we know and what we are capable of doing. I just ask to be a part of this movement, this embrace your imperfection of being your most emotional, vulnerable, and imperfect selves. And this is the time to do it. If you don't want to, if you're not doing it in your day-to-day life, do it here. And if you are doing it in your day-to-day life and you are embracing that, still join this movement so you can be around like-minded individuals. Connect with the podcast on social. Send out an email. Send me a testimonial, feedback. Let me know if you got any suggestions on what we should talk about and subjects that we should disclose. And also show some love to the book that I wrote called The Depths Below. Full of poetry, full of storytelling, full of thematic messaging of universal themes. Not all universal themes, but some universal themes. Some things directly associated with identity, racial identity, ethnic identity, miseducation. So show some love to that book. Everything will be listed in the notes of this episode. I'm so honored, so privileged to be back on here again. And I can't wait to get back on here to start up a new season. Until then, and in the meantime, be love, be a blessing, encourage, show grace, and most of all, be moral, be ethical, and be compassionate. I see you when I see you, and I can't wait for the next episode. Peace and love.